This time I am making a video, I'm just going to jump right into it, on how I applied to get my wife her American citizenship, the N400. I made a previous video on how to get your I-130 in 77 days, 11 weeks. If you want to see more info on that video, it's right up here. Full disclaimer first, I am not a professional. I am not giving you tips on how to apply for the N400. I am not a lawyer. All I'm doing is sharing my experience on how I applied for it, and if it can relate to yours, or maybe you feel you missed a step, maybe I will cover that in this video. But if you're struggling somewhere for those things, then I would seek help from a lawyer. My wife got her green card December 7th, I believe, 2020. I believe you can apply for the N400 3 years later, or like 90 days before your 3 years. So that would have fell in September 2023. I completely forgot, and usually I make a note on my calendar. I remember November 20, around November 20th, and so November 22nd, I applied for the N400. USCIS.gov/N-400. I'll put the link on screen and in the description. Right there, they allow you to apply online. It says file online. So I was like, oh, that's great. And you hit the button, file online. You have to log in if you already have an account. And if you applied already for your green card online and everything, then you already have an account and you can file through the same account. Then you just go through the process, the online process. I would show you some of it, but because I already applied, they won't let me go through it anymore. But I applied for it online November 22nd. 5 days later, I received another document by them, which was November 27th, called Biometric Reuse, saying that because she already took her biometric that year for a renewal, for 2 years you have to renew it. She already took her biometrics earlier that year, so they were just reusing the same biometrics because it hadn't expired. So we skipped pretty much a biometric process. Then January 3rd, we received another letter, interview schedule. So the interview was already scheduled, and it was scheduled for February 20th, 2024. So just in 3 months, at the USCIS office in Los Angeles. So on that letter, they tell you exactly what to take. In this case, it says this letter: your alien, your green card, your passport, any other documents you've used in connection with entries to the US, your marriage certificate, proof of any previous divorces if you had any, your birth certificate, and a few other documents that may or may apply to you. I was able to join her in the office. The only time I was stopped was the actual interview. At that point, she took all the documents and did the interview herself. I asked her how was the interview. Everything is case-by-case basis. They asked her questions that were related to her personally. They wanted to know where her parents live, what I do, where she lives, what she does. Then you also have to take that test. They have that exam where they ask you questions: who was the president in the 60s, and random stuff. My wife is very smart. She studied for just a couple days before. She read it like one time. They gave a practice test online on the website while watching our kids. So she was pretty busy. She read it and she was like, I'm done. I know everything now. And she was telling me information I didn't even know. I should know. They questioned her I don't remember exactly what they asked her. She may not even remember at this point. And she passed it. It was just fine. So they're going to ask you random questions about the US government, amendments. What's the 10th Amendment? What's the 2nd Amendment? I don't know how difficult that is. If you don't know the information, if you suck at tests, maybe really practice on that. And if you don't, like you're my wife, great. That should be pretty easy for you. So the next step was the oath ceremony. She still kept her green card. It's at the oath ceremony is where you turn in your green card. March 6th. So about a week and a half later. And that's the day she actually got her naturalization certificate. And using that, you're as good as an American citizen. You're a naturalized citizen at that point. You don't need a green card. You can go apply for your US passport. So she went in on March 6th. She dressed up so you can get pictures. You take all your documents. You have to take your green card. This letter, again, tells you exactly what to take, but they collect your green card. As many of them, you have both of them if you have them, your first one and your second one. She had both. You turn it in and they give you a paperwork, which is your naturalization certificate. And right after you receive that, you can go at that same day you receive that, and at that same day you are now considered American citizens. You can fight in the wars, you can do everything. I don't know if you can run for president though. I don't think you can do that. And on March 11th, we went ahead and applied for a US passport. We didn't even expedite it and we got it pretty quickly. The USPS appointment, we paid our fees. It was $130 for the booklet. and $35 to USPS directly. So we submitted that, the application, and whatever other forms they tell you to submit, which are all on the website. We went in person, quick process, didn't take long. Maybe we were there for like 30 minutes to an hour. Also, you have to submit your naturalization certificate that day you send a passport, your actual official one, and a copy of it. They do mail you back the original. I got that back April 6th. Okay, I received a passport March 28th. Within 2.5 weeks, we got a passport. Again, I didn't expedite it this time, none of that stuff. I just paid for the normal service. Again, if yours is taking longer than that, don't panic. Ours went through very, very quickly. So from November 22nd to March 28th, my wife had her US passport. So in 4 months, my wife got from a green card to an American passport. So if you're hesitating to do it, if you're thinking the process is long and complicated, it really wasn't. This was actually a lot easier than filling out the I-130, especially since your spouse and you are together now and you have all the documents ready to go. At this point, now that you have your naturalization certificate and your US passport and your parents are overseas, you could apply for them as well directly now, and they can also get their green card. Because you're already here in the United States, I'm assuming there's no real rush for it. Unless there is, I don't know your circumstances. So I would say apply for it, start the process, and it takes as long as it takes. In our case, it took us 4 months. I think that's pretty lucky. It didn't feel very long, especially when you're busy. I did make a few other videos on how to apply for an OCI for a minor. I will be applying for an OCI now for my wife, which is an overseas citizenship of India. So she can travel to India without a visa, considering she gave up her Indian passport. My kids have got it now already, and that was completed within 3 weeks. So I recommend you do these things so you can have traveling abroad easy for yourself. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, leave them in the description. Subscribe to this channel. I plan to make more videos sharing my experience on applying for these type of things. I hope you guys find it insightful. Best of luck to you.